So we're here again talking about the bottom three in the Premier League and asking the question, are they the worst bottom three in Premier League history? Now, when I heard this being floated online and on the radio waves and on the TV as well here in the UK, I was a bit skeptical. I was thinking, I don't know, the teams that went down last season were absolutely abysmal. And as a Sheffield United fan, trust me, I know all about that. I know all too well how we were getting beat 5 and 6-0 every single week. But I've actually done some digging into the stats here. I've done some maths, I've done some extrapolation, I've done some looking at the historic form of these teams because, yeah, it's pretty bad. And honestly, overall, there is a very strong case to be made that if things continue on the way they are going at the moment, that these three sides will indeed become the worst relegated sides in the history of the Premier League. Now, these three sides, of course, are Leicester City, Ipswich Town and Southampton. Now, when people say that these are the worst Premier League relegated sides of all time, there are only three other sides from the previous season that really you can compare them to. 2023-24 saw Luton Town, Burnley and Sheffield United all get relegated with an absolute whimper. They were pathetic last season. But this season, genuinely, these three sides are actually worse. Despite not a terrible start for the likes of Ipswich and Leicester, they've really fallen away in recent weeks and their form is absolutely dreadful, to say the least. And if you look at the data, if you extrapolate things out, and what I mean by that is you multiply things by how many games are still to go. So I've taken the full stats here, the goals scored, the goals conceded, and also the points for Luton, Burnley and Sheffield United last season. And what I've done is because obviously we've not got a complete 38 game cycle yet, we've done 29 games in the Premier League so far this season, I have multiplied them out. So currently at the moment, Leicester are sat on 17 points, same as Ipswich. Southampton are on 9. But even if you extrapolate this out, if you multiply this as though they continue that form that they've had throughout the entire season, and we'll come on to that as well because I don't think they will, but even if you be generous and say that, then you multiply it out to a 38 season game average, then it becomes 22 points each for Leicester and Ipswich and 12 for Southampton. For reference, the worst Premier League side of all time is, of course, Derby County. I'm sorry, Rams fans, I do talk about you a lot on this channel, but very rarely in good terms because you are unfortunately renowned for that unwanted record. They scored just 11 points throughout the 2007-2008 season. Currently, Southampton are on 9 points, and if they continue that average throughout the rest of the campaign, they'll be on 12 by the end of the season, so they will indeed above them, but they need to get a win to do that, or 3 draws. But can you see Southampton getting another win or getting 3 draws throughout the remainder of this campaign? No. But ironically, they're probably one of the most likely to actually do it because, again, I've looked into the stats here. Leicester City have not won a Premier League game since the 3rd of December against West Ham United. Ipswich Town have not won a Premier League game since the 30th of December against Chelsea of all teams. Southampton, meanwhile, they did manage to get a Premier League win more recently than these two teams. In fact, that the last points that they picked up was actually against Ipswich Town on the 1st of February. But when you realise that only one out of these three teams had one solitary victory in 2025 so far, that paints a very bleak picture for these teams. They are going down with a whimper. Wolverhampton Wanderers picked up another win at the weekend, so they're clear. They're consigned. You know, Southampton, Ipswich and Leicester will be playing in the Championship next season, and I thought that it'd take a points deduction for Leicester failing PSR to be able to have that happen. But no, it's not even taken. They've gone down just on their poor form in general. You know, now there are some things that are going to be safe in terms of records. Sheffield United's 104 goals conceded. That is probably going to stay. I've got Southampton, if they continue their current form, on 92 goals conceded. But honestly, these stats for these new sides this season, all these sides got promoted last season from the Championship as well. This is a trend that we're going to see. And honestly, I would bet my house on the fact that at least 2 of the 3 sides that are going to come up from the Championship this season are going to get relegated next season, if not all 3 of them. I think if we go up, if the Blades go up this season, we'll get relegated. I think if Burnley, they'll get relegated. And I think if Leeds go up, they'll probably get relegated. They might survive. They've got a bit of something about them of Leeds, but honestly, I just think the gap is too big. And I think it's fair to say that on current form, if things continue like they are, you are going to talk about the worst 3 bottom sides in the Premier League history. If you combine their extrapolated points out for the 38-game season I've done, you've got 22 for Leicester, 22 for Ipswich, and 12 for Southampton, like I said. That makes a total of 56 points between the three of them. Luton, Burnley, and Sheffield United last season, they got a total of 66 points between them. So that is a big... That's 12 points. Sorry, 10 points of difference between them. That's a big gap, you know. So I think there's a very strong case to say that. In their form right now, Leicester City's form right now is beyond bad. They have become the first... I'm recording this just after they lost against Manchester United this previous weekend, but they have become the first side, not only in Premier League history, in the history of the English Football League, the professional divisions going all the way back to 1889. So Premier League, old First Division days, Second Division, Third Division, Fourth Division, modern day League 1, League 2, at Championship Premier League as well. They've become the first side in the history of all those 4 divisions, all those seasons, all those games, to lose 7 matches at home in a row without scoring. No side in the history of professional football in England has ever done that, and Leicester have managed it this season. Oh, and that's with an absolute legend of a striker as their manager as well, in Ruud van Nistelrooy. But it's not him that's the problem. The gap between these, and I've done an in-depth video looking over this as well. If you guys want to check it out, I would appreciate it. I'll link it at the end of the video if you're on YouTube. But you know, the gap between the Premier League and the Championship is just getting ever wider, and there's nothing they can do about it. It's just going to get worse and worse, this problem, unless something's done. What's going to be done, I don't know. But 14 defeats in a row for Leicester City. Their last point was against Brighton and Hove Albion on the 8th of December. Ipswich are on 4 defeats in a row. They managed to get a point against Villa, but they haven't won this year, like I said. Leicester also winless so far this year. And Southampton, they did manage to win, but they only managed to win against one of their fellow bottom 3 sides. Southampton haven't won against a non-bottom 3 side since they beat Everton, I think it was, all the way back in November. Early November as well. So yeah, I think these sides are the worst Premier League sides in history to go down. I mean, obviously they could turn things around, but on their current form, really? Are they really going to turn it around? I don't see it. Do not see it in a month of Sundays. But guys, what do you think? Are these 3 sides, Leicester, Ipswich and Southampton, the worst in Premier League history? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And of course, keep it subscribed here to the footballchronicle.com to see much more content like this on the world of football. Like, share, comment, subscribe as always, guys. And yeah, have a great week. And if you're one of these 3 sides, you know, have a better weekend this weekend because the international break, you're not playing. So good news all around.